Have you been seriously injured? Mama Justice is here for you. Our medical team partners with top-notch doctors, surgeons, therapists, and urologists, ensuring a comprehensive recovery journey. While our legal team, proven in securing million-dollar settlements, will fight fiercely on your behalf. With Mama Justice, you aren't just a client, you're family. Lean on us for both your healing and your rights. If you've been injured, call Mama Justice today. We're here for you.
.com. In the aftermath of losing someone, it's funny, there are random things that make you think of him. And Senator Josh Harkins, you grew up with Lance Tolbert. As I read about an online auction where there would be muzzle loaders and fishing and hunting gear and outdoor clothing and archery equipment, I thought, Lance might would have checked that out.
He would be bidding.
He just might would have done so. Senator Josh Harkins is my guest. He represents Rankin County. That's District 20. He's chair of the Senate Finance Committee, and not only was currently a friend of Lance Tolbert, but as someone who grew up with him. And you were the first person that I talked to on Tuesday morning. You called me, and I appreciate so very much you doing that. You didn't want the news to be real.
No.
I certainly didn't want the news to be real, but the news is very real. We've lost a friend, a coworker, and in your case, somebody that you had known for a very long time.
Absolutely. And, let me say first off, when I listened to your Wednesday morning intro, I think, I found myself riding in the car listening to it, and I was just nodding my head. I mean, for the short period of time that y'all got to know Lance, you nailed him. It was eerily funny how I was thinking the same thing. Some of the things you were saying. I mean, I pulled my phone up and went through our text, and my God, you wouldn't believe the text messages and the comments that we went back and forth, and the things that Lance would text about and just make comments on. He had a width of for a sense of humor that was rivaled by not very many people. His sense of humor was something that was just something to behold. And in every conversation I'd have with him, whether I came in here to do an interview or whatever, we'd talk for two minutes in between a break. I mean, right down the hallway, we yuck it up for a minute or two, and half of it was filled with chuckles or belly laughing. I mean, he was always finding a way to make you smile, make you laugh, and just to bring up an old story or something. It didn't take Lance very long to get the story moving towards humor and laughter, and it was always a joy to be around Lance and to talk to him, and you were definitely going to miss him.
Josh, I think most people know that Lance was a college baseball player. He began at Auburn. He finished his career at Ole Miss and was an accomplished pitcher. But I think there are a lot of people that don't know about who he was or what he was in terms of a high school athlete. You were a teammate and a friend growing up.
He started baseball at 471. Let's make no mistake. He started baseball down on the fields off 471 in the mosquitoes and the pine trees down there in the swamp. And I mean, he was all the young people think the Dandy Dozen's something new. Lance was a Dandy Dozen back in '93. He was an incredible athlete. He was the size he was last week when he was 9 years old. I mean, the guy was absolutely a monster. When you went 8-9-year-old baseball, when you're sitting there at the plate and you're 4 feet and you got almost a 6-foot guy out there in their mound throwing heat. He was intimidating. He could absolutely blow the ball by you. He could, batting practice was a joke.
Let me interrupt, because everybody that has played youth baseball has faced that guy.
Yeah.
There's the one kid at 10 years old, at 12 years old, who's more developed than everybody else, who hits home runs when nobody else does, who throws it harder. But so many times that guy is at his peak, the peak of his athletic career at 12 years old.
He was just taking off.
That wasn't the case.
No, he was something to watch. Great pitcher all through high school. Followed him, on his journey from Auburn all the way to Ole Miss, and just super proud of him. I mean, great football player. He played quarterback. I think he focused his last year on baseball, and he was a spectacular athlete still looked like he could probably go throw 5-6 innings today. I mean, it was amazing. Ryan and I were talking, and he's like, man, how do you stay so thin? And you look like you're just in incredible shape. And
it's not because of an incredibly healthy diet.
No. That's what Ryan was saying. He's like, the guy did not eat healthy, but he looked like he could still go. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah. I talked to his sister, Brandy, on Saturday at the funeral. And I was struck by something that she said. She's emotional about it, but was holding things together. And she said, Richard, she said, the world feels like a more boring place without Lance. He was such a big personality, and his personality filled the room. And she said, I think at least right now, that's what I miss the most, is that big, larger-than-life personality.
Yeah, Lance, you kind of touched on it Wednesday morning. Lance was a big brother, and loved his sister, loved Ryan and his niece and nephew, just adored him, talked about him a lot. His mom, just Miss Ann, my heart hurts for her. But, Lance was part of the fabric of a lot of people's lives that, they look to for comedic relief, for just, conversation, for being a big brother, being a son. His dad, Larry, I know Lance visited with him last week, and Lance was just that guy that kind of took care of everybody. He was always in the lives of those he loved, and I think people, you're talking about all the text messages you're getting from people. I think that's the part about talk radio that you love, is that you're driving down the road, you get to know these people, you feel like they're your friend, even though you may have never met Lance, you may have never seen him, you don't even know what he looks like. When you see his picture in the paper, and you're like, oh, that's Lance, but you felt like you know him. You're listening to people riding down the road, you're nodding your head in agreement. Sometimes you're yelling at the radio, sometimes you're laughing at the radio, you're crying at the radio. These personalities come into our lives, and we realize how precious they are, and it's moments like this that you take a step back and reflect and think about, man, I hate that we're not going to have that part of our life anymore, or we're not going to have that interaction day to day. We got the memories, but it's a lesson that we should take our friendships and our relationships a little deeper, and show appreciation to people, and tell people how much we care about them, think about them, and how much they mean to us.
Yeah. You've been fact-checked on the C-Spire text line. He said he couldn't have spoken to Lance during breaks because Lance was texting me at that point. Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll get a message that says, last thing that Lance and I texted about was that old smoke alarm battery. We're talking about Robert Johnson and his security alarm that beeps when he's on in the background. And Thomas says, I'm at least 500 texts short for the week. I don't know when Lance ever slept. He didn't sleep a lot.
No.
That felt to be something that we had in common.
Look, I mean,
you mentioned just a second ago nieces and nephews, and I bumped into a friend that I graduated high school with and played football with, who was in the line to see Lance. And I said, Chris, what are you doing here? And he's lived in the Rankin County area for a number of years now, and he said that his son had grown up with Ryan and Brandy's son,
mm-hmm.
and had played soccer together, and been at baseball fields. And he said, man, Lance was at every game that he could possibly be at. He said he was a fixture alongside his mother Ann at his nephew and niece's sporting events.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I mean, I think Lance loved living through his niece and nephew, watching them play sports, and they are, as you would expect, great athletes. Going to be incredible young kids to watch grow up. But I think that's where he got a lot of joy in life, is watching them and just following them, and going with his mom to watch them play. I mean, they were at all the games. I would see them at school, at events, and so I know he was very, very proud of them.
Yeah. Visiting with Senator Josh Harkins. He represents District 20. That is in Rankin County. He was a lifelong friend of our colleague and our friend, the late Lance Tolbert. We'll continue to honor his memory, and might get into some legislative business on the other side of this break as well. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank. We're back with you right after this. I feel like so much of the discussion around Lance Tolbert has been about text messages. He was a frustratingly, at times, frequent texter. And I think the biggest frustration was those stupid green bubble text messages. He refused to get an iPhone. He even recently got a new phone from our friends at C Spire and stuck with the Android. He's like, all right, well, I've been with it this far. I can't bail on it now. What kind of a person would that? Wouldn't be very loyal. But I got to share a message with you because this, I think, kind of summed up his sense of humor. Recently, Josh, we had a guest that was on with us at the in the 8 o'clock hour. And he sent me a message that said he has a hard stop at 8:32 a.m. In 51 years and 11 months, I've never heard someone say, gotta get gone at 2 minutes after the bottom of the hour. Oh, crap, it's 8:32. I gotta get out of here. Cool, brah. I might have edited a couple of things within that message, but blanks. You get the sentiment. Yeah. Who's got to be somewhere at exactly 8:32?
And it probably bugged him for about 3 more days, and I'm sure there were more texts about it.
Well, and this is absolutely inside radio and behind the scenes, but you know that a lot of our guests appear on video calls. Mm-hmm. And so when one segment ends, let's say at 7:31, 7:32, we'll go to break, and Lance would give the guest a heads up. Now, if I were sitting in the chair, Will East were sitting in the chair, he'd say, hey, we'll be back in about 5 minutes. No. Lance was precise. He said, hey, we will be back at exactly 7:37 and 37 seconds. So you got time to go warm up your coffee. What?
Yeah.
Well, let me make sure my watch is synced up with yours.
Look, I think, and they hit on it. Let me say, Caleb did an incredible job at the service, eulogizing Lance. It was another...
Caleb Sailors, who works on the SuperTalk Mississippi news team and is also a minister, delivered the address at the funeral.
Absolutely, and did a wonderful job. Mm-hmm. What people don't... I mean, I guess you could kind of deduce by listening to the comments about Lance was smart. Lance was not just some, oaf that was an athlete in high school. Lance was brilliant. He was smart. He was inquisitive, and you talked about all that his career trajectory was. I mean, it was almost like he wanted to stay in long enough where he could learn everything about something and then move on to something else. I mean, the guy was, as Chris Sarton so eloquently stated in his Facebook post, Lance was a Renaissance man. He was he was a unique individual that was inquisitive, that asked questions, that wanted to learn more, that was never just satisfied with hearing something and moving on. He wanted to investigate, and I mean, I would get text messages in the middle of the day during the session, what's going on with this or what's happening here. He wanted to know more. He was like a sponge with information, and sometimes it would lead to some interesting conversations, and a text message in the morning like, hey, I was on YouTube last night and I saw this, and and then God, AI came along, and then you get pictures of he'd send me a picture of the Ayatollah and walking a cat, or just some of the most incredibly just like, what are you doing, Lance?
So you got the Iranian.
Oh yes, I got all that, and oh God, it was just so funny. But I think more importantly, the point that Caleb said, and I think it's really important that we know is, and if we say what we say as Christians and believers, part of us in the sadness and everything with this, but we have to be happy that Lance is where he is now. He's in a better place, and ultimately at the end of the day, that's comforting to know that that's where Lance knew where he was going, and I was so proud of Caleb and the job he did, and you know, it's amazing how you knew Lance for a snapshot in time compared to some of us. But I mean, I saw my friends sit there nodding their head while he was talking. I mean, he was talking about Lance and the things he did. I mean, getting out of intersection and pump faking a ball like he's going to throw it at a car down the street. That's Lance, and you know, just so many things about him. It warmed my heart, and it made me really, in a difficult situation, to put a smile on my face, and I'm so glad that he did that yesterday and was able to encapsulate Lance to everybody that was there, and there was a crowd of people, and it was I know it made his family feel good to see all these people there. I had a ton of classmates that came in for it. I had some that weren't able to be there but were texting during the day, and there was a lot of love being poured on Miss Ann and Larry and Brandy and the family. So,
you know, we get the biblical imagery of heaven with the streets of gold and the crystal sea, but I think a lot of us have our own imagery in our head of what heaven may be, because it's described as this perfect place beyond imagination. And so we kind of go to whatever our perfect place is, whether it's, you know, an Augusta National that goes on forever, or it's, you know, the perfect baseball stadium. For Lance, his image of heaven would probably have been a deer camp.
Yep.
With dogs, and the ability to just soak in the beauty of nature around him, and so I hope that's what he's got. This
I have
morning.
no doubt he has not made it past the gate yet. He's probably still in deep conversation with the man sitting there.
Especially if it's a cash register right there. I'm not making light of that, but his ability to strike up conversations with those who are working behind the counter at convenience stores. For the longest time, I thought he was joking.
No,
because he would send me, oh yeah, my Indian buddy behind the register at the Quick Mart on Fannin Street. And I was like, oh yeah, sure. And then that was true.
Serious. Yeah.
That was true.
Lance never met a stranger. That's the one thing he could strike up a conversation no matter what room you put him in. He felt comfortable in.
I shared this on Wednesday, and I don't think I'm breaking any trust by doing so, because some of you have asked, and whether it's morbid curiosity or genuine concern, there are people that have said, hey, what happened? Family shared this with me, and I feel comfortable sharing it with you. They are not having an autopsy performed for Lance, but family has had conversations with medical personnel based on how they found him and the way that it appears that he very peacefully died. They believe that he had a massive heart attack.
Yeah.
What most people would describe as a widow maker, whether it was exactly that or not, I don't know. But the family is comfortable in. His mother shared this with me, and I think it's okay to share this. He had we told you he'd been working in the yard, and he was sitting in a chair on the porch, the same chair that he always sat in. He had his phone in his hand, was watching videos on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, and was throwing the ball with his dogs. That was his routine. And when his mom came back out, it looked like he was asleep, and she tried to wake him up. And he didn't respond, and she kind of nudged him, and then she called friends and medical professionals, and he was in the exact same position when she had last seen him, with his hands in his lap, the video on his phone still playing, his legs crossed, and his two beloved dogs sitting right there at his feet. But his head was slumped over as if he had taken a nap, and it was just over.
Yeah. It was peaceful. I think is the point that they're wanting us to know.
51, almost 52, is so incredibly too young and too soon. But if you got to go, I'm not so sure that's not the way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know I think it's the point of why they shared that with us, I think, was to let us know that he was at peace.
Yeah,
and that's at some level it should provide comfort at some point. I know it doesn't make anything feel better today, but it's the point you're making is too young. I mean, he was probably 2 weeks away from his birthday. I think his birthday is coming up in August, and man,
Lance never took any time off, Josh. I mean,
No.
he worked and he worked and he worked. He worked 6 days a week, but doggone it if on my calendar he had not taken off his birthday week and was going to have some time just to unwind and unplug.
Yep.
I'm going to keep Josh through the break. We're going to switch to some legislative conversation coming up, but let's just put a bow on it by saying this. To his mother, Ann, to his father, Larry, to his sister, Brandy, and brother-in-law, Ryan, to his niece and nephew, to all his friends and all of his family, we're going to continue to remember Lance. We're going to continue to think fondly of him. We offer you our most sincere condolences, and we wish nothing more than God's grace to fill all of your hearts.
Amen.
More coming up with you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Sun coming up over New York City. School bus driver in a traffic jam.
This one is normally reserved for Wednesday. Will, I don't know if you get up early enough to normally listen to this program, but we do have a little thing, just giving you a heads up, called Country Music Wednesdays.
Why does it have to be limited to Wednesdays?
It doesn't. It doesn't. But it is exclusive on Wednesdays. We can sprinkle in the country music on Wednesday, and this was one of the bangers that Lance would go to.
Oh, I know.
So, I guess you get up early enough now that there's a newborn around.
Yes.
But Senator Josh Harkins is my guest. We have been laughing a bit and maybe going through a little bit of public catharsis after the loss of our friend Lance Tolbert. There's no easy way to transition, so I'm just going to kind of make a jump cut here, if you don't mind, and talk professional work just for a second. You are on this redistricting committee that the lieutenant governor has put together. So we got a Senate redistricting committee. There's a House redistricting committee. Everybody's looking about redistricting. At some point, all of you have to come together. Where are we in the redistricting conversation, recognizing that it's kind of a three-pronged conversation, that there's legislative redistricting, Supreme Court redistricting, and then also congressional redistricting. Yeah. All of those topics are on the table.
Yeah, so the joint committee will actually meet today at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
There's a formation meeting that the joint committee of the House and Senate members of the redistricting committee will meet and discuss kind of plans.
Is there a chair of that?
We'll elect a chair. I think it may flip back and forth. One time a House will be the chair, I think. Next time the Senate's chair. I'm not sure how that works,
okay.
But we'll get a chair between the two and discuss meetings. I think there's a plan to have meetings across the state, hearings, to allow public comment. And we will meet to discuss redistricting and what that's going to look like. Whether you go back to the 22 maps that we adopted, or do you just redistrict altogether under the new provisions after the Calais case? So we will meet to discuss that today. And I don't think there's anything that's going to be done on congressional this right now. We've already had the primary election. I think it's probably going to be into the future. Maybe gets addressed in the session, maybe. But legislative and Supreme Court does impact the elections coming up in 27.
Right.
And you need to have those districts, if you're going to do new districts, if you're going to redistrict based on the Supreme Court ruling, you need to have those in place before qualifying, I would think. It would be my
Which begins January 1st.
January 1st, January 2nd, whatever. It may fall on a weekend, but it starts the 1st of January, it runs through February 1st. And so having those new districts in place beforehand is important, so you know what district you're running in and who potentially, if you're maybe running and you think you want to run against somebody, you need to make sure they're still in your district.
Let me ask you this. You guys and gals in the legislature don't always move at the same pace that much of Mississippi would like to see, but with an expedited timeline here, I mean, are you about to be meeting a lot? Because I mean,
I would assume you'd have to have some
special
meetings in September, I guess August, September, and October. I mean, you've got to have the hearings. I think you have to have the hearings. I'm not exactly sure what the constitutional ruling is on how you proceed in a redistricting, but that's what we're going to discuss today to find out what's necessary and go through those steps and then come up with a plan. And I would assume you'd have to have the governor call a special session to do a redistricting.
Does it feel like that's an early December thing?
I would believe so. I mean, it may be sooner. I don't know when. It just depends on when we can get everything. I mean, I think we'll know more after today. We'll have a little bit better kind of roadmap of what's going to have to happen in order to get to that point. There'll have to be consultation with the lieutenant governor and speaker and the governor, and probably have a special session before in December, I guess, would be the latest you'd have to have it, so you could adopt it and have those lines drawn in the system. Now, I think there are some concerns on timing with the Secretary of State's system on actually getting the maps installed. So
right.
There's a lot of pieces of the puzzle that have to be put together to make this work. But when you redistrict also the Supreme Court districts, that in transportation, the Public Service Commission, all run under those lines. So there's a lot involved and a lot to have to work through.
We're just scratching the surface on that topic.
Yep.
We will dig deeper on another day. Josh, I really appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you, Richard. It was good to see you this weekend, and the SuperTalk family. We appreciate it.
Mornings with Richard Cross, 8 o'clock hour is on the way. My guest has been Senator Josh Harkins. He represents District 20, that is Rankin County, but today here in less of his role as a senator and more of his role as a friend to our friend, the late Lance Tolbert. We're back with you after this.